Hey YouTube, I'm back with another deck profile video for Vanguard Zero. So in this one I'm going to go over the deck that I used to get to Legend. So it was OTT, and that probably surprised a lot of people, because a lot of people were probably playing Nova Grapplers or Kagero, either Blockade, or I hate to call that meta, because I don't really even consider that a meta deck. I mean, set 1, it is what it is. There's a lot of viable decks. There's a lot of ways to get to Legend, and I told myself from the beginning I'm not going to play Blockade. I could have, but I chose to play OTT instead, and it was a lot more fun. I feel like OTT has a pretty good matchup against Kagero, or at least the build that I went with. My specific build is also really good in the mirror match against other OTT. And then I think the one deck that I struggle with this build is probably Nova Grappler, just because of the rush. But I was able to get there, so it's not that big of a deal. So this is basically the deck. We'll go over it here. I'll have it up on the screen down below, but basically what I had to go with off of what I pulled. Actually, if we go, let's start in stages, because the deck changed over time. But day 1, or at least so it took me I think 5 or 6 days to get Legend. If you guys were watching, I did live streams of the event. I did my the B to A to S, and then S to Legend. So I did 3 streams. From Rookie to C was not really that hard at all. But this is basically what I had when I was going through the lower ranks. So if you look here, I didn't pull any Silent Toms up until way later on, when I was already, I think it was in A, it was either B rank. At the end of B rank, I think I pulled 1 Silent Tom. But this is the deck that I start out with. So if you look here, it's 3 Battle Sister Coco. So for some reason, I pulled a bunch of these. I pulled 3 of these, yet no CEO and no Silent Tom. And OTT is the one where if you don't get lucky on the pulls, you probably aren't going to run the deck on the climb to Legend, or even once you get Legend. You're probably going to be playing Gold Rutile with Lion Heat, Nova Grapplers, or you're going to be playing some form of Kagero, or maybe even some form of Royal, depending on how many Gant slots you pulled. But anyway, so I pulled a bunch of Battle Sister Coco. So Battle Sister Coco, I thought to myself, okay, well, Coco plus Sakuya is basically CEO on the cheap. Because what you do, this allows you to look at the top card of the deck, put it on the bottom or the top of the deck. So usually if it's a trigger, you keep it. If it's not a trigger, you put it on the bottom. But sometimes it can be a card that you need to draw, like a PG or something. That happened in a couple of games. It was actually on stream where that was seen, where those situations come up. And for that we run Maiden of Libra. Maiden of Libra is really, really good. I don't know why people think this is bad. This is a 3 or 4 of. You run as many of these as you pulled. In my case, I only pulled 2, so I was running the 2 of them. Obviously, you gotta run 4 PGs, so you gotta have 4 PGs. 4 PGs and 3 Coco, 2 Luckbird. Luckbird is very, very good. I see a lot of people in the mirror match. There was a ton of people playing Dark Cat. And I don't really understand why. I mean, I kind of understand why, because I think the idea is even though you're letting your opponent draw a card, it doesn't matter in the end, because you're going to use Silent Tom when they're at 5 damage, so 4 PGs in their hand doesn't mean anything. But the thing is, the challenge is getting Silent Tom, and that's why people are running 4 Dark Cat, because they want to draw into the Silent Tom. Well, I was like, well, I'm not going to let my opponent draw a card, but I'm going to let myself draw a card, so that's why we run Luckbird. And with Sakuya, you use it once per game. You don't really have a ways. I mean, you could run the thing that soul charges. There's a grade 2 that soul charges, but I don't like that card, because I just don't like randomly soul charging just to randomly soul charge, because I don't like to soul charge heals. I don't like to soul charge criticals or draws. It's just super annoying. Or even soul charging PGs. So I wasn't about that, so I'm not gonna do that. Now I know CEO does that, but that's a different story, because CEO is an essential part of the deck. So it's justified because of her effect to check top and put on the top or bottom every turn. So we run 4 Oracle Guardian Gemini, because you need this. It's an AK vanilla. There isn't really a whole lot of other grade 1s to run besides this. So other than Battle Sister Coco, I mean, I guess you could run Circle Magus, but Circle Magus is what you would run if you didn't have Battle Sister Coco. So if I didn't have any of these, for each one of these that I didn't have, I would substitute in a Circle Magus. So that's how you make it more budget. You run Circle Magus instead of Battle Sister Coco. So moving on to grade 2s, obviously Maiden of Libra. She's really, really good. Super, super essential to the deck. It's what allows this deck to not have to run 9 draws, because this plus Apollon is an insane draw engine. The deck doesn't use the Counterblast for anything but those 2 cards. And with heal triggers working the way they do, this deck runs 5 heals because Lozenge Magus is the best starter for them. So you're going to be running Lozenge Magus as a starter because it gives you a 5th heal. It draws you a card when it goes back, so it's really, really good. So yeah. Next, I run 3 Battle Sister Mocha. I don't really like this card. It's good in the early rush. I mean, you can use it to run over like a Rearguard Draconic Overlord before he gets to go off if they call him out too early. You know, stuff like that. It helps you run over like 10k interceptors. Usually you'll have more cards, 3 or more cards in hand, so it's usually live. I don't like it because of an AK body on the opponent's turn. The opponent can just run over it really easily. They can like move a Marin up and attack, or call it down bar and attack. I don't like that, so that's why I don't really like this at 4. And for each additional Silent Tom or Battle or Maiden of Libra, I would reduce this card by 1. So if I had 3 Libra, I would only have 2 of this. Next, we run 4 Oracle Guardian Wise Man, because he's Denke Vanilla, nothing else to run, just run him. And then 4 Promise Daughter. People who are new to OTT, I could tell by their choices in their grade 2 lineups when I would play against them in the mirror match. Promise Daughter is super good. This card can hit over 20k with Oracle Guardian Gemini behind it. So because this thing you'll discard a card when it's situational, but I mean you can use this for the final turn. This card is basically the Silent Tom substitute. So without any Silent Tom, you're gonna be running Promise Daughter. Next for grade 3s, 4 Sakuya. People think Sakuya is not good. They have no idea how to play the deck if they think Sakuya is bad. Sakuya is better than Apollon as the Vanguard. I'm serious. Like, when I had to make a choice between Apollon and Sakuya, I always make Sakuya the Vanguard, and Apollon is always going to be the rear guard. Because that draw 2 and then put 1 back, it's like, okay, yeah, you can put back a heal or something, some cheeky play, but it's like, I understand why people use him as a Vanguard, because they think, oh, I can draw 2 more cards that gets me closer to Silent Tom or a PG or whatever. It doesn't matter. The deck has enough draw power. It doesn't matter. You want Sakuya for that 14k attack. There was a game that I played. It was on stream where Sakuya, I attack with Apollon, Counterblast 2, draw some card. I forgot what it was. It was like either a Gemini or a PG or something. Then Sakuya had to attack for game. It was 2 to pass. So I did not have 3 cards in my hand. I check a draw trigger, draw the card so that her attack power increases, so it goes over their, I think it was like 16k. I think it was a Sura Kaiser or something. But it hit over because of the 14k. I think it was like 20. No, I gave her, what was it, like 14? It was 19 plus the boost. I think I had to hit over. Yeah, it was like I needed 2 to pass. I was at 10k and they were like at 16. It was a Sura Kaiser. And so she's 10, swinging. Check a draw. The draw draws me the card that makes her go to 14. Then I give the power to her. She goes up to 18, so she hits, and I win. So the underrated card, very, very good on the cheap if you don't have CEO. So very essential card, actually. Because it allows you to reset your field. So if you play, for example, it synergizes with Coco, because you'll use Coco on like turn 2 to check for the trigger play, and if not, you send it to the bottom. Or if it's like a PG and you have Maiden of Libra as your Vanguard that turn, you put it on the bottom, or you put it on top and you draw it with Maiden of Libra. Then on the following turn, you ride Sakuya. Sakuya bounces Coco up, so Coco could then be called down behind Sakuya to form a 20k column that's 14 plus 6. And then you get to do the check the top again. So that's the reason why Coco and Sakuya synergize real well. Then of course for Apollon, he's really good. I'm not saying he's bad, he's just a really good card to use to more draw power. And if you don't have Sakuya, then you're going to use this as the Vanguard. And then Meteor Break Wizard, he's your 13k. Same thing as Promise Daughter, it allows you to hit over 20. Or yeah, him with Oracle Guardian Gemini, that's how you hit over like a Sura and stuff like that when they check damage triggers. And then just this one of Madonna. I don't really like this card too much. It's okay because it helps you, like draw into your PGs and stuff. But other than that, it's just the one of in here. For trigger lineup, you run 5 crits, or I suggest running 5 crits, 4 draw, 4 heal. You don't need as many draws because you already have a very, very strong draw engine. In fact, OTT has the strongest draw engine out of all the clans. The reason why you see a lot of Kagero people recommending or running like 9 draw is because Kagero has no draw engine at all at this point in the game. That's the reason why they're running a lot of draws. So, the nice thing about having the draw engine is it allows you to run crits. It allows you to kick the PG out of their hand when they're at 3 when you check a crit, so they can't do their Overlord play. They won't have enough counterblast to do it. You know, stuff like that. Yeah. So, anyway, this is the deck that I used to get to, I think, A rank, and then at that point I got Silent Tom. So real quick, we'll go over the one. This is the final deck that I used to get to Legend. So it was, again, the 3 Cocos. The only difference was at that point I had 2 Silent Toms. I pulled 1, and then the following day I opened like 5 packs. I used like 5 tickets that I had gotten through the dailies. Then I pulled the SP Silent Tom. So I went from having no Silent Tom to like 2 Silent Tom, and then I crafted 1 CEO, and I pulled the other 2 in like a set of like 10. I used like 1,000 gems to open like 10 packs, and I pulled like 2 CEO that day. So I got really, really lucky, and I was like, okay, now it's like the game sees me ranking up with OTTs. It was like, here's some OTT cards. So this was the deck that I hit Legend with. I used this in A rank, A3, A2, A1, and S, and then I got it into Legend. I used this deck again in Legend. But yeah, this is what I use, the final build. So Sakuya took a back seat to CEO, so therefore I make Sakuya the heal trigger, and then CEO is the critical trigger, along with Meteor Break Wizard, and then Apollon is still the draw trigger. So trigger lineup didn't change at all, but now we have Silent Tom with Maiden of Libra and less of the Battle Sister and the Promised Daughter. So further enhancements to the deck as of today. So in Legend, this is the one that I'm using after being in Legend. So I managed to pull a 4th Coco, but that's the only thing that I did pull another Maiden of Libra. So this is the current build. I did drop Luckbird down to 1, but I'm considering putting it at 2 again, taking out a Coco. But I would definitely do that if I had 4 CEO. If I had 4 CEO, then I wouldn't need to run the 4 Battle Sister Coco. But occasionally there'll still be games where Sakuya is the Vanguard. So this is the final build. Hope you guys enjoyed this deck profile of OTT. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And for set 2 and set 3, they're coming out like end of this week. Let me know what clans you guys plan to build and what you've been saving up for, and if you think it's a good idea that Bushiroad is releasing 2 sets instead of just 1. And I'll catch you guys next time. Thanks.